What's up, sports fans? This is the Lucas Ross Sports Channel, and in this video I'm going to give you 5 reasons why the Washington Huskies will beat the Texas Longhorns in the college football playoff semifinal. And before I start this video again, I just want to tell you that this is not an official prediction. My predictions won't come until right after Christmas. Again, these are just simply like 5 reasons as to why Washington can beat Texas in the college football playoff, and also like 5 keys to the game here. What keys does Washington need to have here going into this game in order to beat Texas? So again, we're doing like the 5 reasons here for all the playoff teams. Yesterday I did Michigan, 5 reasons why they would beat Alabama in the playoff semifinal. So if you have not seen that video, go back and check it out. We're doing Washington today, the number 2 seed, and we'll do, of course, the number 3 seed Texas tomorrow, and then we'll do Alabama on Wednesday. So stay tuned for the rest of those 2 videos. But let's get right into 5 reasons why the Washington Huskies will beat the Texas Longhorns here in the college football playoff semifinal. Again, not my official prediction. These are simply just like keys to the game here, and 5 reasons as to why Washington can beat Texas in the college football playoff. So let's get right into this list. We'll start from the bottom and work our way to the top. The number 5 reason for Washington is that they're underdogs. So you look at Washington in this year, you know, they've been underdogs in almost all their games. Not all their games, but most of their games. You look at that Oregon game back in the month of October. They were a slight underdog in that game, even though they're playing at home in that game. They ended up winning that game by 3, and that's kind of where the Washington, story kind of started, and that's where Michael Penix kind of became a Heisman, candidate and everything. Oregon just made a lot of mistakes in that game, and that's the exact reason why Washington definitely won that game. But Washington was an underdog going into that game against Oregon. I think they were underdogs in some of them other games, but, a lot of people thought Washington was going to lose the Pac-12 championship just because they were not playing their best. And I feel like when Washington plays like a big game, they're kind of like similar to Georgia. When they get into those big games, they're definitely going to prove people wrong, in this scenario. So I think that's the exact reason why they can beat Texas here, is just because they're underdogs. And they're obviously an underdog going into that game against Texas in the playoff. And if you look at the spread right now, Texas is favored by 4 points, which that is a big number there for a playoff game. I looked at Michigan yesterday. They were a slight favorite by 1.5, but they're playing against Alabama. But against Texas, I think Washington, a lot of people think that Washington is not on Texas's level, but I think this game is going to turn out to be a shootout. And again, Washington has been in this position before where they've been underdogs. Again, they did that in the Pac-12 championship. They were a 9-point underdog against Oregon in that Pac-12, just because that Oregon was playing really good in the season. But Washington proved us wrong in that game. They finished the season undefeated, and that's the exact reason why they're in this position today and also going to the college football playoff, is just because they're, the underdog mentality. So, if they can bring that underdog mentality, prove people wrong in this game against Texas, that's the reason why they're going to beat Texas in this college football playoff. Not saying they're going to, but I think it's going to be very well a big story if they do that. So again, this is my number 5 reason. They're underdogs here. And again, the underdog here is Washington. They're like a 4-point underdog against Texas. Let's now go to my number 4 reason. My number 4 reason is the wide receivers for Washington. They're absolutely loaded with talent at the wide receiver position, and they have a great quarterback that they can get wide open down the field, and that is Michael Penix. These wide receivers have been very special this year to watch for Washington, especially with that explosive offense that they have. They're going to have to be a big factor in this game, though. They're going up against like a good Texas secondary. They do got some really good, talented players on that secondary for Texas on the defensive side of the football. I think Washington's going to be able to get their receivers wide open. Again, if they play their best game, they're going to give Michael Penix plenty of open space to throw the football down the field. I know this is not typically like a big reason, but the wide receivers have been a very big step up this year for Washington. That's why I'm really including these, including these wide receivers here in these reasons and everything. But the leading receiver for Washington has about 81 catches and about 13 receiving touchdowns on the year and about 1,400 yards of total yards of the wide receiver position. I can't really pronounce his name, but Washington has other great talented wide receivers on the wide receiver position. So I thought I would really include, these Washington wide receivers. Again, they're going to have to be a big factor here in this game. Texas's secondary played pretty well in the Big 12 championship. They made the plays that they had to. They forced the turnovers as well. I just think the wide receivers have to be a big factor. Again, they have to really make some good catches in this game, and they also have to really run after the catch as well. So I do expect the wide receivers to be a big factor here going into this game against Texas in the college football playoff. This is my number 4 reason. Let's get to my number 3 reason. My number 3 reason for the Huskies is the offensive line. So I feel like this is the best offensive line in the country. Not in the country, perhaps, maybe besides that, but maybe in the Pac-12. The offensive line is the reason why this offense is so explosive. They're also the reason why Michael Penix was a Heisman candidate. They have just done a really good job at protecting Michael Penix at all times. And also, they've done a really tremendous job in that Pac-12 championship. And, that's the reason why I think they have proven people wrong in all these big games. They definitely played their hardest in that Utah game. They also played their hardest in that first matchup against Oregon, and they did the same thing in the Pac-12 championship against Oregon. I don't think this is the most explosive offense or actually not the best offensive line in the country. But again, they're going to have to be a factor in this game because Texas does have a pretty good defensive line. They really usually pressure the quarterback a bunch of times, over the course of the year. So if the offensive line can give Michael Penix plenty of time to throw the football, that's going to really help Washington out. That's also going to help the receivers out as well. Again, this offensive line is, in my opinion, probably one of the best in the Pac-12 this year, maybe in the country as well. But they're the reason why Washington is undefeated, and they're also the reason why Michael Penix was a Heisman candidate. And again, they've been giving him plenty of time to throw the football down the field. So again, this is my number 3 reason why I think Washington could probably win this game. But again, they're going up against a really good Texas defensive line. Can they be able to stop Texas defensive line here from pressuring Michael Penix? I think they have the talent to do that, but again, it's going to be very tough. We'll see how it goes for them. And again, the offensive line is the reason why they're in this position today, and they're also the reason why Michael Penix was a Heisman candidate. So they've done a really good job of protecting him all season long. So this is my number 3 reason why I think Washington can beat Texas in the college football playoff semifinal. Moving on to number 2. I just talked about it. It's the explosive offense. Washington, you look at the explosive offense that they have this year. They're averaging a lot of yards a game in every single game that they played in. And they were pretty explosive in the Pac-12 championship. I feel like they made the right plays in that game. I feel like they also made some explosive plays in that one. They're obviously going to need those explosive plays in this game against Texas. They're going up against a pretty good Texas defense. I think the secondary is a little bit of a weakness for Texas, but I don't think it's going to be really weak enough to maybe make some stops on this Washington offense. Well, you look at this Washington offense, they run a spread attack, a spread type offense and everything, and their receivers kind of, get wide open all over the place and everything. Michael Penix also has a really strong left arm. So again, if the offensive line can protect Michael Penix, and if also Michael Penix can stay consistent, this offense is going to be very explosive in this game, which I think it will be a shootout type game here between these two teams. Again, my predictions are going to be coming right after Christmas and everything. But again, I do expect this offense to be very explosive in this game. They do have a really explosive offense. They average a bunch of points, and they also average a bunch of, total yards per game. This is more kind of like a passing attack offense that Washington has. They don't really focus on the running game that much, but they did that in the USC game. USC had a terrible defense in that game. But Dylan Johnson also has to be a factor in the running game. I think they also have to be, running the football in this game because, I think Texas defensive line, if they don't really make the stops on the running game could turn out to be very explosive for this Washington offense. But again, you look at Dylan Johnson, one of their top running backs in the backfield, about 1,113 yards on the ground this year and about 14 rushing touchdowns. And obviously, he had that big impactful performance against USC. So that's the reason why this offense has to be a factor. And again, they're going to have to run the football as well. I mean, if they run the football pretty well, they're going to be really explosive on the offensive side of the football. So again, the explosive offense, that's what it's going to be about here in this game. Can the offense score a lot of points in this game, which I think they will, to be honest. I think I'm kind of expecting a shootout here between these two teams. But again, if the offense cannot score points, that's definitely going to be a long ways for the offense to handle. But again, this is the explosive offense. This is the reason why I think Washington can win against Texas here in the college football playoff. But that is not my number 1 reason. Let's now go to my number 1 reason why Washington will beat Texas here in the college football playoff semifinal. And that number 1 reason is the quarterback, Michael Penix. So it's all about him in this game, and it's also about, the accuracy of Michael Penix as well. Michael Penix is going to have to play really one of his best games of his career. Probably since that Oregon game, he was very consistent in that game, and he definitely proved a lot of people wrong. You look at where Michael Penix has been in his career. He started out his career at Indiana. A lot of people doubted him once he came to Washington, but once he got to Washington, he turned out to be like a really, really good quarterback. We saw the Heisman Trophy ceremony a couple days ago. He came up just short of the Heisman Trophy. He was the runner-up, and that's the reason why Michael Penix has brought this Washington team into the college football playoff, and he's also led them to an undefeated season and also to the Pac-12 championship as well. You look at Michael Penix's numbers on the year, about 4,218 yards on the passing, and then 33 touchdown passes and about 9 interceptions. So he's thrown 9 interceptions this year, but it's really all about the stats for Michael Penix. Again, it's about the touchdown passes and also the consistency of Michael Penix as well. And again, he was like that this year. And this is probably one of the best years I've seen Michael Penix have in his college career. Again, he wasn't very successful at Indiana, but he's been very successful ever since he came to Washington last year. And I feel like last year, that was kind of like a momentum going into this year for Michael Penix. Again, he's led this Washington team to right where they are today, again, to the Pac-12 championship, to win that Pac-12 championship, and also to the college football playoff as well as a number 2 seed. And again, he's going to have to be huge in this game. If Michael Penix plays really well down the field, and if he plays well all game, that might be a really easy win here for this Washington team. But I do expect kind of a shootout here between these two teams. Again, we got two really good quarterbacks going at it here in the number 2 versus number 3 matchup in the college football playoff semifinal at the All-State Sugar Bowl. Again, it's Quinn Ewers versus Michael Penix. Which quarterback is better? Basically, like I said, Michael Penix finished second in the runner-up of the Heisman Trophy. So again, he's had a really good season. Again, 4,218 passing yards and then 33 touchdown passes and 9 interceptions. So again, there is times where he's been inconsistent, but again, he's just been so consistent this year. Maybe besides Bo Nix, I think Michael Penix is one of the best quarterbacks in the Pac-12 for a very long time. So again, this is my number 1 reason why I think Washington can win this college football playoff semifinal matchup against Texas. So that is my number 1 reason. And those are officially my 5 reasons why Washington will beat Texas in the college football playoff semifinal. Again, not my official prediction. This is simply just like 5 reasons and 5 keys to the game for Washington to beat Texas here in the playoff. And again, this is a rematch from the Alamo Bowl, so Washington knows Texas pretty well, and Michael Penix knows Texas pretty well. So we'll see how the rematch goes between these two teams. And again, I'll have my 5 reasons for Texas tomorrow, and then I'll have Alabama on Wednesday, so stay tuned for those videos. But again, these are my 5 reasons why the Washington Huskies will beat the Texas Longhorns in the college football playoff semifinal. Let me guys know what you think about these 5 reasons for Washington. Do you agree or disagree with these reasons? And also give me your 5 reasons down in the comments below for this Washington team. Thanks for watching this video, and stay tuned here for more sports content videos on my Lucas Ross Sports channel.